Look at my little friend over here. He looks like Wally, doesn't he? And look at some of his friends. So I really love this synchronized dancing they're doing, and the facial expressions are my favorite part. I can't wait to get to know it more, and I'm going to learn more about the engineering now. Okay, so right now at this factory is where the Yongos get tested and trialed. This is where they get polished into their finished products, and you can see the hard work that all the workers are putting in to make the hardware by hand, and then to test the software as well. We're doing some testing right now with the Yongo robot, just to make sure that it responds to different requests. And it's really important to understand the love and the dedication and the hard work that goes into creating these devices to make sure that they are as human-centered and people-focused as possible. 你好，现在在做什么？
我现在在组装这台元宝，上面这个脑袋有最重要的灵魂，它的所有的智能 AI 都在上面。The factory floor was incredibly busy, workers moving in precision to meet delivery deadlines for customers who were eagerly awaiting their Yongbo companions. We didn't want to disrupt their workflow too much, but Mr. Tianzhen gave us a valuable tip. If we really want to understand what Yongbo can do and how powerful it truly is, we should head to the company headquarters and talk to the developers who brought the single companion to life. Okay guys, so now we're going to head to the X Origins AI office space where we get to see even more of the research and development of the Yongbo. As you can see, I have my little friend here, my child for the day, who's going to show me his heart. Okay, so I've arrived at the X Origins AI office, and I can already see some figurines and some posters in the background that got me really intrigued to understand the inspiration behind Yongbo and the history of the company. So let's go and check it out. Hi, Xiaowen. This is Xiaowen. Xiaowen's going to take me around, so let's go see this office.
This is our tool room here, okay, and on my left side here is our soldering station, which is mainly responsible for verifying some PCB boards. Then on my right side, these are our 3D printers, which are mainly used by structural engineers for verification testing. Yes, and here are our aging test machines.
Why are these robots fully assembled, but this one is unfinished?
This is our machine that has undergone the longest aging time. You can see that its outer shell is now quite cracked and broken. It has been aging for about 15 days for extreme verification of the upper limit of usage time. Someone may be asking, what does aging mean? Aging means that Yongbo can continuously perform aging actions for 15 days, 15 times 24 hours non-stop.
So this robot doesn't stop moving for 24 hours because it's just constantly being experimented on, tried on, and all these different tests are being done just to get the best prototype possible for the Yongbo. What is your name?
Your name is Amy. What's your favorite thing to do?
My favorite thing to do is read books. What is your favorite thing to do?
Oh, I love learning new things and sharing fun information. Reading books is awesome.
So we're going to use this book right now, and this robot friend is going to read it to us. So let's try it.
Yongbo, scan the QR code.
Start recognizing the QR code. I'm ready for this tour. Let's start with the first part. Hi, I'm Elon Bell, and I live in a private public network. But one day, something unusual happened. A strange black hole suddenly appeared in the middle of the sea. What do you think that black hole could be?
Is the black hole a Yongbo as well?
That's an interesting thought. The Yongbo could definitely be part of this adventure. Now, let's move on to the next part of the story.
So what do you think is the funnest part about this Yongbo and the robot?
What really got me about Yongbo was that long memory thing it does. I remember during my testing phase, I mentioned something super casual. Just that I might want a hamburger that day, or that I've been craving them lately, nothing major. But then, sometime later when I was testing again, it just casually brought it up. Didn't you say something about wanting hamburgers recently? It caught me completely off guard, in the best way.
Okay, so I found another element of the Yongo universe, which is this little device right here. It's really, really cute and user-friendly, and there's all these different features, so I want to understand. 这是什么？
This is camera feature that Yongbo has. You know when you see a random flower and wonder what it is? You can just snap a photo and ask Yongbo. He'll tell you exactly what kind it is.
我就只拍一个，I'm gonna take a selfie. I want to see what the photo looks like. Okay. Guys, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Not only is the Yongo adorable, but you can actually dress up the Yongo with all these different clothes. So right now I want to have a party with the Yongo, we can dance. So Yongo, can we dance together?
Absolutely. Yay. I'm so glad. Here I am again.
While Miss Wall was giving me a tour of their office, I couldn't help but notice some fascinating details around the workplace. The display shelves were lined with combat robots, accompanied by winning photos and certificates. Miss Wall said that all connected to their boss. There's definitely an intriguing story behind all of this, so I really wanted to talk to the man behind it all.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Amy. Thank you so much for having us at your office today. Josephinerani.
Okay. Welcome to X Origin. I'm Wei Yinga, and I have a product R&D here.
谢谢，谢谢。So the first question I have for you today is, can you describe a little bit about your educational background and your career background and what led you to Yongo today?
I graduated from Harbin University of Commerce and was part of China's first generation of youth robotics competitors. After graduation, I had quite diverse career experiences. I spent several years as a teacher, coaching many children for international competitions. However, becoming a teacher and having my own child brought about a shift in my mindset. I realized that, as an educator, you can only impact a limited number of students, and it's difficult to help more kids on a broader scale. This led me to transition into product management. I started at DJI, and then in 2021, I decided to venture out on my own to create my own product, which ultimately became Yongo.
So why did you want to do an AI robot that particularly helped kids and was an accompaniment for kids instead of just like an industrial robot or a humanoid robot?
First, I believe product managers must work in industries they understand deeply. What I know best in my life are my family and child. Second, product managers must solve real problems. With my 7 years of educational experience, I understand children's needs better. Third, I'll admit there's a bit of personal motivation. Whenever I want to give my child a gift, I never feel satisfied with what's available. I wanted to create something that would truly move children.
So I want to ask you, what of your personal experiences with your kid affected the design of Yongo?
It really comes from what I call educational regrets. For example, between my son and me, it's hard to avoid what psychology calls positional bias. Children can never communicate with you as equals. This creates the first regret. Could there be a translator to bridge our communication gap? The first case of this gap happened when my son was in kindergarten. He said the school needed white sports shoes. I bought him shoes that were mostly white but had some gray stripes. In my mind, I had completed the task perfectly. But because my son didn't have specifically pure white shoes, he was placed in the back row during group activities. This was an information gap that prevented me from understanding my child's precise needs. It's very difficult to expect a 5.5 or 6-year-old to articulate clearly that only pure white shoes would work. Otherwise, it would affect their school activities. But Yongo can identify key information points from fragmented conversations and notify my phone, reminding me of these details even when I'm busy with work. My son was actually the first user when Yongo was just a small speaker learning to speak. He was already trying to have conversations with it. We experimented with many interesting features like incorporating his father's voice and pre-recording his favorite cartoon characters. We jokingly say he evolved from a user to Yongo's true product manager. For example, he once asked me, Dad, Yongo is supposed to be my friend, so why can't I understand his instructions? Why do you need to teach me? I feel like Yongo is your friend, not mine. This led to Yongo developing common style instruction manuals. We spent a long time on these manuals, First explaining where he came from and why he's so smart, then explaining how he knows what cartoons my son likes to watch. All of this was laid out in the manual given from my son, acting as a product manager and generating these requirements.
And so the younger will naturally have your child's secrets and understand things that your child is comfortable with you saying. But I think a big problem or a big issue in the West, a big concern is about privacy and data. And so in this sense, how can you ensure that the privacy is kept between Yongo and the child?
As a parent myself, I share these concerns. So we implemented 3 solutions. First, Longbow never saves video streams. Its camera is only used for AI interaction that doesn't store any visual information. Second, all recognition content, including speech-to-text conversion, local memory accumulation, and decomposition, uses completely offline, local and internet communication mechanisms. Third, all network information, such as when interacting with large language models, we use what's called dynamic function parsing. This replaces children's names and private information in most data, leaving only behavioral information, like strawberries, but not who likes strawberries. This data desensitization keeps large model information fragmented to ensure privacy security.
So now we're talking about so many different technological issues. Of course, there's so many aspects to creating the Yongo. Can you talk about some technological issues that you face in the process?
We wanted to create distinctive product features, and many differentiated functions created numerous technical challenges. Here's an interesting development case. Originally, our cloud-based memory systems use keyword-based memory methods. If you said something frequently, it would become important and be remembered by AI. But this approach is very difficult to implement in children's products. I encountered a psychological case where a little girl whose mother had passed away mentioned it only once, then forgot about it in subsequent conversation because people don't constantly talk about such things. But for her, this was extremely important information. However, keyword-based AI models judgment would repeatedly trigger suggestions like, go find your mother and open your heart. Due to this memory bias, we later developed hierarchical memory systems where important information was remembered for life. This became one of our distinctive features that took a long time to develop.
So clearly with kids, psychologically they're still developing, might not still be as developed as an adult quite yet. But what do you think the younger could do maybe better than a parent or a psychologist? Or what do you actually think the difference, the core difference between the two are?
First, I think these child companion robots serve as a supplement, not a replacement for parents or professional medical personnel. We have a domestic test case working with psychological therapy institutions. Psychologists can only spend an hour per week in face-to-face sessions, making it difficult to guide teenagers to completely open up during that time. They can take on board home to analyze more fragmented or detailed points during communication, assisting psychological treatment. We had a customer who followed our robot products from the Kickstarter platform. His child has autism, so he was very concerned about the product launch timing and whether it could be delivered directly to his home. When we discovered the child had autism, and since we were removed from Kickstarter affecting the delivery schedule, our CEO made special arrangements to give the Longo robot from our development warehouse. Autism is actually a very representative condition. Its main characteristic is limited sharing desire and opportunities. Although Longo can't provide autism treatment, it can at least help them to have better sharing opportunities because artificial intelligence is patient enough.
Yongo can do so many things, it has so many capabilities. So what is Kickstarter's decision to take away the support for Yongo? How does it affect the people who need it?
We spent a long time making many video clips and launched on Kickstarter. We raised over $1 million on our first day. However, around day 20 of crowdfunding, we were unexpectedly removed. Internally, we believe it might be because our features were too revolutionary for them to believe that these functions actually exist. But we plan to launch on the eShop and Amazon so all consumers can purchase our products with confidence. Meanwhile, we built a very comprehensive secondary development team for Yongo to continuously update its functions, giving users fresh experiences every week, month, and quarter.
Just now I saw different clothes that the Yongo can wear or the stories that are being created. And I think all these additional things are just making the universe bigger and bigger. So I wanted to ask you, what are your ambitions for the future of this ecosystem?
The starting point is actually very simple and pure, and we're very worried about Longbow ending up as shelf decoration. Our philosophy is that selling to users isn't the end, it's the beginning. So we've created many user ecosystems, including clothing systems and development community, where you can easily add many desired functions to Longbow. We once customized the function of Longbow called Little Merchant. There was a 9-year-old girl from Shanghai called Wawa. She participated in the charity exhibition where she could sell her unused toys and donate the money. We customized this function through Longbow's development platform. It could know her headsets cost 5 yuan, her piggy bank cost 6 yuan. When her booth was very busy, Longbow would help by guiding customers to buy products. I don't know the specific revenue, but the child had an excellent sales experience.
So you've really done such an amazing job so far at making sure that you're developing, widening the industry of allowing these kids to have these AI companies. So I wanted to ask you, what is your overall bigger mission?
I think for all tech companies, missions are simple, which is to change the world. This might be a grand mission, but in our preliminary plan, we hope more to bring happiness to more children.
So kind of going back to our initial question about your intentions behind the program and how you want to provide a gift for your child. What do you envision a future as AI develops more and more, and children also get older and older, things will start growing naturally. So what do you envision a future where we interact with AI all the time on a daily basis?
I think this question is relatively simple. People shouldn't worry about embracing and integrating into future technology. It's like discussing now, is electricity useful? Yes. But when electricity was first invented, many people debated whether it was dangerous or meaningful. Let the future prove this point. That's all we need.
You know, this has really got me thinking a lot about the capabilities of AI that are still being unlocked every day, especially in China. And when I think all about what, Mr. Wei told me about Yongo and its intentions, I really start to understand that Yongo was created to better the lives of children. It can't be a replacement for parents or caretakers or even animals, but it can actually add on as a different kind of accompaniment on a whole new level. This company has built something extraordinary, a thriving ecosystem where families don't just consume, they create. Yet despite successfully raising nearly $2 million on Kickstarter, proof of overwhelming demand from American families desperate for this kind of meaningful technology, Yongo's campaign was abruptly terminated. What is the reason? Unfounded claims that the company didn't seem real and lacked a physical U.S. headquarters. Due diligence. How could they not verify what I witnessed with my own eyes today? Was this devastating decision influenced by bias against Chinese innovation? When I saw Yongo dressed in its adorable little Christmas tree outfit, one of the engineers shared something that really broke my heart. He told me about the emails they've been receiving from devastated American parents. One father had already shown his kids Yongo's videos and promised them this amazing AI companion for Christmas. But now, because of circumstances completely beyond his control, he's become a parent less to break a promise to his children. You can imagine how crushing that must be for a parent and a child. The damage has been immeasurable, not just to Yongo, but to so many American families who are counting on this companion to bridge the gap in their children's lives. An incredible tool for childhood development and family connection has been ripped away from those who needed it most, based on nothing more than unfounded suspicions. Okay, so if you're interested in getting a Yongo, just go to our description and you can check out the links.